Well, it's time for another one of the highly ranked seeds taking on a player without a tour card. Chaz Barstow posed some problems for Brendan Dolan, but some clinical finishing from the Northern Irishman saw him through safely, 6-2. Ross Smith may have to produce something similar to deal with RJR3, Rusty Jake Rodriguez. Not the youngest of the RJ Rod brothers. That'll be Reggie George, although he's not appeared on the darts scene. He's the youngest of the trio that we've seen in PDC darts action. We get to see number 2, Roby John Rodriguez, at the culmination of this game as he faces Danny Nopper. But Ross Smith will be the favourite for this. Do not think that this is just going to be a simple job for him, though, because Rusty, despite a disappointment at the Grand Slam of darts, he is an explosive and very exciting young darts player. Ross Smith, though, a man who's become a winner on the PDC circuit this year, finally picking up a title. A number of years after he first burst on the scene as the youngster to watch, the emerging talent. Didn't really happen for him the first coming of Ross Smith. The second coming of Ross Smith has been very, very impressive and very good to watch.
I'd agree with that wholeheartedly. He's a very different threat now than he was maybe even when he beat Michael van Gerwen at the European Championship. But maybe that did convince him on a confidence level that he belongs in the top echelons of the game. And the thing that impressed me about Ross was his work ethic, not just on the board, but when we were in Coventry during lockdown phases this time last year, I remember leaving the arena there and walking to the supermarket to grab some things for the day, and every single day he was running around the stadium, keeping his energy levels up, getting fresh air, going for a walk with Steve Beaton. He just does things right now. Not that I'm saying he did things wrong before, but he's making better decisions for his career than ever.
And it's paying dividends. Yeah, really nice from Ross Smith. That takes out the 110 on double top with Rusty Jake sat on a 1 treble finish himself. Good start.
57.
We'll probably talk a lot about the fact that there are multiple Rodriguez on the tour in the few years coming up, but what about the amount of Smiths that we've got? We've got Ross, Jeff and Michael, and of course, twice this year we've had a Smith derby in a final.
We have. Well, those three have been... What have we have? Ross Smith, yeah. Ross Smith and Michael Smith have met in a final. Is that twice that they've played in a final?
Twice, and Michael Smith won them both.
140.
Well, there you go. I mean, look, Ross Smith has picked up a title this year, but he's been knocking on the door to pick up more. That's the thing. It's not just been like he had one good day or a good week or anything. He's been consistently a very impressive performer.
3 finals this year. Well, he's won 1 of them, whereas somebody else we will see tonight in the exact same game in the session tonight, which is Luke Humphreys. He's played in 3 finals but hasn't won 1 of them. What a timed 180 there from Rodriguez.
Rusty require 36.
Yeah, double 18, he's left. Rusty Jake so quick, our scoreboard's struggling to keep up. He doesn't like that.
18.
Yeah, got trickier and trickier. And 63 for Ross Smith here to take a 2-0 lead. Great dart, double 12. Oh, really, really nice. That is 2 checkouts in consecutive legs. 110 and then 63 in 2 darts.
When you practice the way that Ross does against other people, there are different phases of that practice. And a lot of people watching this, they tend to send questions via social media to
140.
Former professionals, current professionals, even future professionals, and say, how do you practice against somebody else? What do you do? They play games against each other to get them really, really amped up. And at the end, they play a game, say a World Championship format, best of 5 sets. That's the gauge at the end. But a lot of the stuff that Ross Smith does with the likes of Rob Cross, Josh Payne and some others, even Louis Williams as well, is that they do finishes. They do a cumulative 121 in 6 or 9 darts. It's those 63s and the 110s that come up all the time. And they practice them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Taylor himself would say that it's not necessarily the 170s and the 161s that win you games. It's being able to regularly take out 80, 84, 97, things like that. They keep cropping up leg after leg after leg. And if you're just hoovering up those chances, then you're going to win a lot of matches. You may only get 1 dart to double. You might get 2 if you hit that treble first dart, but make sure it goes in that visit.
Here's another one of those numbers, 72. Hasn't missed a double yet. Double 16. And still hasn't missed. It's clinical. This is exactly what you expect from an on-form Ross Smith, and he's making Rusty Jake Rodriguez look like he's in the distance.
Yeah, well, Ross Smith finishing a bit like Brendan Dolan was earlier on. In fact, even better. And it is 3 consecutive 15-dart legs we've seen from Ross Smith. That's the 100 average. It's his second 180. And it's just very, very impressive.
Here's one for you, Dan. We've talked about Alexandra Palace coming up. This guy is an awful draw for somebody. He's not in the top 32. He is a disaster for somebody pre-Christmas.
Absolutely.
Then again, so is Rusty Jake.
Yeah, well, there's a, I know that any of the guys in the top 32, they're there on merit, but there are some that aren't in the greatest of form. There are other guys outside of that top 32 who have done so much over the course of this year to qualify for Alexandra Palace, who you think these have got a chance to go deep, and Ross Smith is certainly one of them.
Oh, does he fancy it? No, he does the professional thing, and so far in this contest he has not put 1 foot wrong.
That's it. There've been no mistakes, have there? They've not been bad darts. He's barely, I'm not sure he's missed a big segment. Maybe he has once or twice, but he's finally missed a dart at double. But if you get it done in that visit, it doesn't matter. The only thing you damage is your average.
And he doesn't care about averages. He cares about getting through. And it's funny, I mentioned Luke Humphreys a little bit earlier because it's either Humphreys or Jason Heaver who await in round 2. That one is in this spot tonight in game number 6.
Yeah, very interesting game that. I'm not sure if they're playing the same team. They're certainly from they live about 500 yards away from each other, so they do know each other. They will have played each other. I'm not sure if they're part of the same pub team or whatever, but they're certainly very well aware of each other's games, and I'm sure they would have beaten each other many, many times playing locally.
We almost had that dream final, of course, in a Players' Championship this year where it could have been Dobie versus Rids, and they live in the same street. It didn't happen.
45.
They both won 2 Players' Championships this year. Ross Smith with just the 1, but it's easy for me to say, Dan, at this juncture that he's going to win more, but they don't come that easily.
No, they don't. Needs another to leave the finish.
140.
And he's got it.
Rusty on the
127. Treble 19 would have left the bullseye.
47.
Well, he's taken out everything else in this game, Ross Smith.
Why not? It's not going to happen. I've just spotted something from this camera angle about the Ross Smith throw. We'll touch on that in a second, because Rodriguez may have to go 15s now. Double 10. 20 confirmed. 20 hit. So he's not going to be bageled. I want to pick up on something here before Ross Smith throws his first 3 darts. in this sixth leg. The starting position of every throw, a lot of people think is in front of the eye. Well, not for Ross Smith or Michael Smith. It starts for Ross Smith at his watch. The dart that he throws with dart 1, it's next to his watch, and he brushes it up towards the right line in front of his eye. I think it's a fascinating start to the throw, but it's repetitive and it works.
58.
Yeah, you can see he actually draws that dart back towards his non-throwing hand to make sure it's in the right position, and that a part of it is about the time. The time it takes for him to bring that dart up in front of the eye allows him to make sure that everything else is set. Van Gogh himself does something similar, doesn't he? He starts with the dart quite low down and brings it up. You see him set himself with his stance and then bring it up, and it just gives him a little second or so to make sure that everything is stable, everything is solid, and he is one of the most stable players. He's got a bit of a lean, but you don't see him like the back leg kicking up or anything like that.
Shows good core strength, actually, because I think the best person in the world for that is Dimitri van den Berg, who doesn't have a wide stance, but he doesn't move. But Rodriguez is moving now. If he finds this double 16, it's been a splendid leg.
Yeah, well, here we are seeing the sort of explosive nature of Rusty Jake. Because he's just rattled off 2 legs in no time at all. And he's got himself in this contest. If Ross Smith fails to hold his throw here, game on.
58.
He's starting to move now.
140.
He is a very exciting talent, and I don't know whether you remember this, Dan. We were at the Multiversum. It was a late Friday night session, and Rusty Jake was only a kid, and he was playing Richie Edhouse in the last game of that Friday session. And that
Multiversum in Vienna in Austria on the European tour.
Yeah, that crowd was going ballistic for Rusty Jake, and he won that match against Edhouse. And watching Edhouse come off the stage that night after being beaten by Rusty Jake in the crowd, he just went, wow, what an atmosphere that was.
He likes it. He is a feisty character, not unlike his older brother Roby John. He has got a bit of a presence about him. Not seen much of it here, but then again, he was 4-0 down in this contest. If Rusty Jake could win this leg and get back in it, throwing to level the match at 4-all, we might see a little bit of fire from the little Austrian.
Gotta go 18s.
56.
Quite similar to
164.
Leg a couple of legs ago, he needs 164 this time and not 170, but he's got the 60 this time.
138.
This could be the biggest shot of the match so far.
Interesting choice by Ross Smith to leave 26 in the end. Will it matter? Double top.
28.
Well, it does matter.
26.
Got to get the line right. He's got a bit of leeway with the weight of darts. And there we see Ross Smith left 26, hits 26. He is a leg away. And was that the moment, the one missed dart at double top, which proves to be the crucial one in this game?
I think the reason he went that route down is because the 54 was blocked and the 60 was so inviting, and you can see the benefit of leaving 3 darts at a double.
Well, I think we've talked about it before. We're seeing this decision being made more and more by professional darts players. If they've got a dart in the treble already and they think it's good, if it increases their chances of hitting that treble, then they're more likely to use it nowadays, even if it leaves a weird double. Because they fancy their chances of hitting that double, rather than, say, going into a fresh open bed where you've got no guide. Effectively, it's a smaller target because you haven't got the dart and the flight and everything else helping you reach it. I think we're seeing that as a conscious decision from more darts players to do that. It's a tactical decision. It's worked there for Ross Smith.
You bring up a really good point, because
134.
there's a lot of right-handers love double 13 because of its position, because of the forgiveness of the weight of the dart. The reason that people don't like it is because it's an odd number. That's the only reason. But everybody loves this finish.
Love it.
57 for Bull for the champagne shot.
It's tricky to take out, and it got an awful lot trickier after that first start.
64.
It was
Zero,
an
135.
obscured bullseye, but he leaves that 68 that Rusty couldn't take out in the previous leg.
Watch out. That guide was so perfect for the Bull.
No,
There you go. There's the proof.
68.
Fully illustrated, but Ross Smith is going to get a match dart. Maybe 2. It is 2. A really controlled, impressive display from Ross Smith to see off the dangerous Rusty Jake Rodriguez. From 4-0 up, it looks like there was only one winner. There was a little bit of doubt cast in his mind by the comeback. And Ross Smith celebrates as he books a spot in round 2 against either Jason Heaver or Luke Humphries. If it is Humphries, that will see 2 of the emerging stars in PDC darts go head-to-head here in Minehead. We've got 2 more games for you here on stage 2. Gabriel Clemens, the German giant, takes on the bronze Adonis Steve Beaton, but before that, it's Danny Noppert and Roby John Rodriguez.